Let's get right into it, chat. Just gonna see the Facebook post between the two very, very influential ladies of the country right now. One is using the murder of the Tsonga young man who died in Guyana during the unrests that were happening over the weekend, attributing his murder, which has been disproven as a targeted murder simply because he speaks the Tsonga language, by the police, versus Jacinta, who says that EFF is using this for clicks and votes. Let's quickly go through these two ladies' points that they're sharing online, especially on Facebook. Started off with Miss Naledi Chirwa saying that I'm sure Jacinta is jumping for joy wherever she's at. We warned countless times. Campaigns were unleashed against us in response. Xenophobia/Afrophobia only has one conclusion: bloodshed. History is evidence. This is what happens when you see a black person and believe they are not a part of you. This is what happens when you sing Futek Changan. Let's pause right there. Naledi says that the bloodshed that we are witnessing currently right now in South Africa is because of xenophobia and Afrophobia, which is agendas that she's attributing to Jacinta's movement being March and March. She claims that this is what happens when you sing Futek Shangan. You might be wondering, what is this lady talking about? Right? She's talking about this clip over here. Have a look. Naledi is talking about this song. She's saying that you singing this song leads to violence against the Tsonga people, or some South Africans, that is, bloodshed. Right? However, I don't want us to get it misconstrued as South Africans. I don't want us to get it misconstrued because we all know what her party promotes in this country. Naledi Chirwa's party promotes violence in this country. Right? How is that different from this?
Alliance shoot to kill Gamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Kichi, kichi, kichima.
So Naledi Chirwa is okay with reprimanding March and March, singing Fusek Shangan, but she won't condemn her own CIC criminal in command, Julius Malema, who chants "kill the Boer, kill the farmer." Those are completely different, right? They're completely different. One is okay, one is not, according to her. That's her logic. That's EFF's logic right there, ladies and gentlemen. One can sing "kill the Boer, kill the farmer," but the other cannot sing "Suga Shanga, Sugendleleni." I condemn both of these acts. I could care less what the context is. I could care less what the context is, because according to the EFF, or according to Naledi's party, chanting "kill the Boer, kill the farmer" is unrelated to killing the Boer or killing the farmer. Apparently it's a chant that they sang back in the day, and it wasn't to be interpreted literal, in the literal sense. And the Constitution of South Africa also supports that statement, to say that that's just a chant from the past, and it's a figure, it's meant figuratively, not literally. Flip the script. Imagine the white Boers, the Afrikaners, singing the exact same song. Kill the darkie, kill the black man. Kill the darkie, Imagine how would that sound? How would that sound if white people sang the same song? I'm telling you, the EFF would shut the country down immediately. Naledi would be there in parliament talking about, look at them, they being racist. But it's not racism when EFF does it to the Afrikaner, right? You better like this video right now, because I'm working too hard to expose all of these contradictions that we have amongst our leaders. Click the like button right now, because I'm working overtime to try and push these videos and bring the truth to the people of this country. It's not okay when EFF does it. I mean, it's okay when EFF does it, but it's not okay when Jacinta and them sing a similar song. And the context of Jacinta's party singing the song, or movement singing the song, is around the fact that the Shangaan folk are really from Mozambique. Let's quite be honest, according to them. According to Jacinta's party, or not party, movement, according to according to Ngizwe and the likes of Pakela Mtagati, apparently when they sing the song, they're talking about the Shangaans who reside in Mozambique and not the ones who reside in South Africa. In South Africa being Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Because they classify them as Tsongas. But the Tsongas, some of them also classify themselves as Shangaan. Because they have some connections, or some, their bloodline connects in one shape or form with those in Mozambique. I could give two fucks about both contexts. Whether the party EFF is singing this shit because they mean it figuratively, or whether Jacinta and her movement are singing this song according to their context of them literally talking about the Shangaans in Mozambique. I could give two fucks. Both songs are hate speech. Fact! Both are hate speech. I'm not going to negotiate that part with nobody. But as we move right along, she goes on to say that this is what happens when you sing Fusek Shangaan. This is what happens when you place government failure at the feet of already vulnerable people. There is no way around it. When President Malema said it for all of us to hear, you decided to accuse him of being funded by Nigerians. A lie that Ngizwe now has to pay for after court processes. All of this is happening. Ramaphosa and the DA's minister, peace, have never been disturbed. Disgusting. She also goes on to say that you can come and swear at me and accuse me of not being South African. We won't stop telling you the truth just because it makes you uncomfortable. All these people who incite violence against black people must face the full might of the law. So she immediately uses this young man's murder and pins it against Jacinta. Unbelievable, bro. Without even waiting for the facts, she immediately just starts lashing out at Jacinta, accusing her of the bloodshed of this young individual is a cause of marches protests, which already has been disproved as factual, according to the investigations that the police have been operating in the country. But obviously Jacinta had to respond to that. She didn't waste no time now, did she? I'm going to scroll a biki and I'm going to find the part where Jacinta was like, my lady, I'm not going to let you do that to me. Think I might have found it. Jacinta immediately responded. with rather somebody else actually sharing a few comments. So Jacinta shared this post from a Facebook user. And this person is saying that watching a member of parliament use the tragic death of a young boy to spread misinformation and incite hostility towards the Xhosa language was a disturbing confirmation of how reckless some of our leaderships have become. Naledi Chirwa tags her, knows the consequences of leaders spreading falsehood and fueling division, yet she appeared all too willing to amplify an unverified narrative. She felt all the way too comfortable to talk about it, even though it was unverified. With great power comes great responsibility. Naledi is working for a political party that has great power and great influence, but her lack of responsibility is appalling as far as being the person that people look up to say, yo, how do you feel about such and such? Her responsibility was to say that I can't share any information at the moment because the police are still investigating the matter. That's what a responsible leader does. But no, she jumped the gun and started blaming Jacinta and March for the death of somebody who's being investigated currently, who's still yet to be proven as a criminal. We don't know if the 19-year-old was a criminal yet, but according to what the police have said so far, allegedly he was there to steal from a fellow South African. Okay? Politicians are entrusted with a responsibility to the country. Facts, literally what I just said right now. They are not social media influencers chasing engagement. That's how I feel about these EFF politicians at this point. They literally just pushing engagement because they all jumped out the gate to say that this was all Jacinta's fault. Before making inflammatory claims, especially on matters that can deepen social tensions, they have a duty to verify the facts. True story. Are you kidding me? Based on no verified evidence and no confirmed facts, a narrative was pushed that triggered outrage across the country. That is irresponsible and dangerous because now the whole Tsonga tribe started believing that they were being targeted simply because this lady Naledi Chirwa and the people like King Zyle started pushing the narrative that all of this was linked to Jacinta's movement, which was not the case as already proven or mentioned by the police. History has shown us how destructive misinformation and hate-driven rhetoric can be when promoted by political figures. Leaders who spread unverified claims that fuel division should be held accountable for their actions. That's only fair. This guy is cooking. He's not crazy. You there feel what I'm saying? This incident deserves a thorough investigation. If any laws or parliamentary codes were violated, there must be consequences. South Africans deserve leaders who unite, inform, and act responsibly, not those who exploit tragedy to score political points. Are you trying to get votes perhaps maybe? Jacinta and March should seek legal opinion and pursue this. I was absolutely shocked by the glee this lady showed over someone else's death. I could not believe it too. I just did a previous stream, maybe like, I don't know, an hour ago. Please go check it out. Where after this one, don't leave this one, but after watching this one, go check out the stream that I did where I was literally going through all the evidence that's been presented as far as the murder of the 19-year-old. And it's absolutely appalling to see that EFF leaders decided to use this as a marketing ploy to get votes. It's crazy to me. Or push a propaganda narrative that South Africans are targeting South Africans. It's pop. They stooped low with this one over here. But I'm not surprised because they did something similar in the past where they accused March of the death of a child or an infant who lost their life while the mom was trying to get clinical assistance, apparently, allegedly. What else do we have here? Jacinta could not wait but respond to Naledi. Let me find the post quickly. I was there just now. Hold on. Found it. Jacinta responded by saying that, "Dear Naledi, The danger of suffering from lucid intervals is that you tend to not remember the things you accuse other people of and make yourself immune to them when they are directed at you. The biggest challenge we have in our country is the fast-growing business of pseudo-working class aligned wannabe politicians like yourself, with no inclination or appreciation of what the hey, what's this word now? Jesus. Hey. Never seen this one before. Hold on. Jesus.
Hegemony.
Hegemony refers to the dominance or leadership of one social group, state, or culture over others. Fair enough. How do you pronounce it?
Hegemony.
Hegemony? My goodness. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by this atrocious word. Never heard of. Never mind. The biggest challenge we have in our country is the fast-growing business of pseudo-working class aligned wannabe politicians like yourself, with no inclination or appreciation of what the hegemony of the proletariat entails. Where do we get these words? Okay, cool. You know what? Whatever, bruh. And the best you can do is to hide behind men to lead you, and all you do is follow them around like a chicken because you can't be trusted to have an independent voice or lead alone. My goodness. You are a woman condemning another woman who's fighting for her country under the EFF. She's calling it out and saying, ma'am, you can't do that. You are not cool for doing that. No problem. Let's keep going. You fail to recognize the fact that the state is not constituted by the executive alone, but parliament is also a critical arm of government that carries a great task of holding the executive accountable. Facts! I said that already. Unlike Jacinta, who's not in parliament, the lady Naledi Chirwa is in parliament. And she does hold the responsibility to hold the current government, her colleagues, accountable for everything that's going on. But no, Naledi would rather go hold a movement that has nothing to do with politics whatsoever, a non-political movement that's simply just trying to get back control of the governance in the country to align with the black majority's vision. She would rather target that group. Imagine. She also continues to say that you, Miss Naledi, blow hot air about us not having said anything to the Minister of Home Affairs, while you sit there in Parliament and not hold him accountable. I'm not even a member of Parliament, but I have made it to Parliament to speak on behalf of South Africans, and I didn't even need to lie and get them to vote for me to do that. But you, Miss Naledi, you used a lot of lies, as we'll uncover later on in this stream. Stick with me. You may illogically accuse me of having only a microphone and not a pamphlet, but at least I've never been to Parliament, and my most notable contribution is being grabbed by the bum and dragged out like a child refusing to go and bath. If you are genuine about your cause, you wouldn't be advocating for cheap labor and romanticizing it to make it seem like it's South Africans that don't want to work. Meanwhile, you are in cahoots with the very same capitalists you claim to be fighting, flooding the country with cheap labor and hiding behind making it a human rights issue. Boss! She's cooking her. Because that's what the EFF does. They literally advocating for illegal migrants to stay in the country, claiming that they need to be documented just so that they can continue working for the white man who's currently still exploiting them, disregarding the labor laws of the country, disregarding the human rights of the country, to treat black people as equals under the Employment Act that's being tabled in the past by Parliament of the now democracy that's run under the corrupt ANC. You want to hide from the fact that you are in cahoots, allegedly, with the same capitalist monopoly that's operating the country, which is currently exploiting Africans from all over the continent, and masking that in the propaganda that's been tabled or pushed throughout the whole world that South Africans are lazy. Imagine the nerve of you, man. Jacinta is cooking here. Am I crazy? Of course not. Where were we? It's not even about human rights, but protecting your own interest along with the NGOs and capitalists that no longer need to abide by basic labor laws, because you will defend them with all you have by making it a skin color thing and labeling anyone who dares to stand up for South Africans as xenophobic or Afrophobic. Excuse me, I just burped. I literally just said what she just said. I literally just said what we just read from her post on Facebook. Jacinta is cooking this lady. I need to drink some water. My throat is dry. You and I can accept. What is she saying? You and I can accept that there are various types of crimes in the country. Some are crimes committed by politicians who are still sitting in parliament today. Right? Fact. What we can agree on is any person that commits a crime must be dealt with, and those who believe that aiding and abetting illegal immigrants as per Section 42 of Immigration Act must be treated as criminals, even when they camouflage such crimes as dream of uniting Africa. Isn't that fair? Obviously, it'll be very hard to have those people, to have them found guilty for what Jacinta is suggesting here. It'll be very hard to prove that in court, that we have politicians here who are using their powers to defend criminals that are running criminal activities here in the country. As we proceed, all lawbreakers are human beings, Naledi. So how do you decide which ones to protect? She's cooking. Because in parliament, we have criminals in parliament. We have criminals, proven criminals. The CIC, the criminal, the CIC himself, the criminal in command, Julius Malema, has been proven guilty of shooting a gun in public. Her own leader is a criminal, proven in court that he's a criminal. But no, she would rather condemn a movement that's trying to help the citizens, the majority citizens of this country. Imagine. Jacinta goes on to say that, oh, and since you claim the only thing I've picked up is a microphone, I would advise you to do some more reading than just reading about how to be a good member of a cult. Jesus. Read about the historical impact and influence of radio in politics, fighting injustices, resistance, social and cultural awareness, and unifying people, and maybe you will understand also the skill that is acquired through radio and how powerful it is. So Jacinta is saying that, lady, listen here. If you claim that I'm just a woman with a mic and just, chanting in the streets of South Africa, rioting or whatever, or protesting, then you got it misconstrued, man. I've done way more than that, because I've been a radio personality for years. Radio personality who, with influence of radio in politics, fighting injustices, resistance, social and cultural awareness, and unifying people. And maybe you will understand also the skill that is acquired through radio and how powerful it is. So do not take my efforts for granted. This is just... Jacinta goes on to say that the ability to listen to people, sympathize with them, share in their moments of happiness, and be with them through their difficult moments, and maybe it would help you to actually be a leader and not a follower who regurgitates what she has been told and gets detention every time she speaks out of scope she has been given. Basically accusing Naledi of being a puppet there in the EFF, following commands of men who are partly responsible running this country down, because the EFF itself is a political party that's rooted from the ANC. There is no EFF without the ANC. There is no MK party without the ANC. All of these are descendants of the ANC. So if you are still following instructions from people who descend from the ANC, Afrika Maibuya as well, then you bugging, Miss Naledi, according to Miss Jacinta Ngobese-Zuma. Maybe radio could have helped you better than chanting slogans, and maybe by now you would have qualified to lead. I mean, it's been shown quite a number of times the EFF, even Donald Trump showed them, exposed them to the whole world when they were chanting, delete the boer, delete the farmer. So Jacinta is saying maybe radio could have helped you better than chanting slogans, and maybe by now you would have qualified to be a leader instead of being led by the criminal in command, Julius Malema. But keep pushing. Maybe one day Julius will see you as worthy and not just a sheep that follows every single command that he puts online, Miss Naledi. Shots fired. Doesn't end there, chat. Doesn't end there. Do you think Miss Naledi will just let that slide? Of course not. What? Never. Naledi had to clap back. Naledi had to clap back. Naledi goes on to respond on a very lengthy response. Let's hear if she shared some valuable points in here, or if she's just going to continue pushing her propaganda with the EFF. It is important to be led by people who have at least picked up a pamphlet before a microphone. You are choosing the easy way out, Jacinta, because you are simplistic in thought but radical in action. How do you blame me and EFF for crimes committed by foreigners when we aren't government? The reason why Jacinta is blaming you, the EFF, for the crimes that are being committed by foreigners is because the EFF has been proven multiple number of times of speaking against South Africans but never speaking against the crimes being committed by foreigners. The EFF is always condemning South Africans for the crimes that they do, as they should. EFF has to condemn criminal activity that's being done by South Africans, but also has to have the same energy for the same foreigners that South Africans are complaining about. No, Malema would rather defend criminals. He's been shown several times advocating for policies that literally allow for such criminal activity to occur in the first place. Julius Malema is the same politician who was advocating for criminals to enter the country illegally, allegedly, claiming that they should find creative ways to enter the country. What do you mean by that, sir? Naledi is saying, how do you blame me and the EFF for crimes committed by foreigners? That's how we blame you for the crimes that foreigners have committed, because you told them to enter the country illegally by asking them to enter the country illegally if they find difficulty with entering the country the legal way. You said that they must find creative ways to go about it. Your party, Ms. Naledi, has been advocating for the erection of informal settlements throughout the whole country of South Africa. Malema has done that in the past. So yes, you guys are responsible for some of the crimes that these foreigners have been committing. And the same informal settlements that you guys have been advocating for have been rather ripe areas for crime. Very, very ripe ecosystems for crime. Because police, police presence in these informal settlements hasn't been quite elevated as much as would like it to be. I don't know if it's because they've been discriminated against or just because they were just not provisioned to get any basic services like garbage removal, housing, electricity, water, sanitation. They were never budgeted for. So not only is your leadership, EFF, the cause of resources getting strained by undocumented illegal immigration that you guys advocate for, but these undocumented people that commit crime cannot even be traced when they do commit crime, allegedly. I have no idea which tribe Chirwa belongs to, but Naledi is a Tswana name. Naledi is a Sotho name. It means the moon in Sesotho and Tswana. So I don't know if she's Sotho or Tswana, but Chirwa, I don't know what Chirwa. I have no idea. I don't wanna make assumptions here. Miss Naledi Chirwa goes on to say that, bro, we just in the first sentence of her whole 10-minute paragraph. But already what do you blame Ramaphosa for if your finger points at me for border control when Leon Schreiber of the DA is the sitting Minister of Home Affairs? She has a point. However, Miss Naledi, your political party is the same one that opposed Mr. Leon Schreiber's ministry to entice foreigners to enter the country illegally. I'll play that video if you guys don't believe me. Let me find the blood clot video. I'm sorry. Now you guys will just have to wait before we continue on with reading Miss Naledi's response. If you guys probably think that I'm lying when I say that the criminal in chief, the criminal in command, the CIC of the EFF is the one that said that the illegal immigrants must find creative ways to enter the country. Look at this. You guys will have to wait. You guys will have to be patient. Because you guys are the reason why we're here right now. If there wasn't 32 people watching me talk about these issues, then I wouldn't be doing this. Matter of fact, I need all 31 of you guys to click the like button right now so that this video gets pushed to like-minded people that do want to hear the truth about what's going on in our country. Click the like button. Stop playing with me. Julius Malema says foreigners must find creative ways to enter the country. Look at this. I'll find it just now. Give me a sec. Why would I lie? This is a live stream, so I'm allowed to search for things. Check. I think I found it. I found it.
Let the borders be open. And if the gates are not going to be open for SADC, fellow SADC people, please find a creative way. This is your home. Your families are here. There's no way anyone is going to close you out here. Lesotho and Free State are one thing. Mpumalanga and Swaziland are one thing. Northwest and Botswana are one thing. Limpopo and Zimbabwe are one thing. What is the point? There's no point at all, except people who suffer from self-hate. Put South Africa first nonsense. The borders are closed. Put South Africa says close the borders. The borders are closed. Are you employed now? You are not employed, even with borders closed. Even with the borders closed. To show that the problem of unemployment will never be resolved by closing of borders on our own people, who majority of them do the work that you South Africans don't want to do. So you are fooling yourself. Leave Africans to interact freely and move freely in this continent of theirs.
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? So she's saying that, how do you, she says she's responding to Jacinta. She's saying to Jacinta, how do you blame me and the EFF for crimes committed by foreigners when we aren't in government? When we aren't government, rather. What do you blame Ramaphosa for? If your finger points at me for border control, when Leon Schreiber of the DA is the sitting Minister of Home Affairs. Come on. I just showed you, Miss Naledi, your leader, literally telling people to break the South African law. Your criminal in command. She says, I'll give you a lecture you so desperately need. Here it goes. Should be like a man. It's about to go down now. Listen closely. This is Miss Naledi responding to Jacinta Ngobese. You accuse me of defending foreigners. She has for defending foreigners. Of course she has. I defend human beings, so she denies defending foreigners. I mean, I haven't seen her defend South Africans, but she's always defending foreigners. It's fine. I defend the truth. And the truth is that migration did not create poverty in South Africa. Is she kidding me, bro? Did you guys hear what this lady just typed? She said migration did not contribute to poverty in South Africa. Are you kidding me, dog? Yo. I don't know. I think this stream is going to be way too long. Chat. Get your popcorn. Yeah, just sit back, relax. We're going to dissect a lot of these messages that this lady typed here. Because we're not even halfway. We just started her rant. And already I'm disagreeing with everything that she's saying so far. You accuse me of defending foreigners. I defend human beings. I defend the truth. And the truth is that migration did not create poverty in South Africa. Migration definitely played a role in creating poverty in South Africa. What is she talking about? This person, okay, Lindy is saying that this person, Naledi Chirwa, must be investigated. How she became an SA citizen. We shall revoke all types of permits and citizenships. I don't know about that, but definitely she doesn't seem to have South Africans' interest at heart at all. I mean, are we surprised? She's under the EFF. Like, duh. What do we expect, guys? So she's saying that immigration is not the reason why we have poverty in this country. Can I break down to you guys why I feel like immigration did play a part into the poverty that we're facing in the country right now? Here's how. Just on Monday, today's Wednesday, I think. On Monday, I did a live stream where I was talking about a Ghana man who was complaining about the current situation that we face in there at Home Affairs with permits not being handed out to people who he claims that entered the country legally. He says that a lot of people came into South Africa legally. However, some of them got dispossessed of their jobs that they were legally coming into the country for. He was more specifically talking about people who came here to South Africa to teach as a scarce skill. So according to him, teaching is a scarce skill in South Africa. No problem, sir. Listen to this Brew Cook. He goes on to say that there are people who are coming into South Africa from other African countries. They were coming here to teach rare skills. Some of these rare skills were IT programs, as if we don't have enough IT technicians or IT programmers who can teach IT in the country. That is not a scarce skill. He was talking about STEM type like courses or programs such as science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So he's telling us that as in South Africa, we have a shortage of people who can teach these types of courses in the country. Fair enough. He could be telling the truth, but I know for a fact that he's lying. Fine. So these people come in the country, they get permits from the corrupt South African Labor Department, and they start working in the country. Fast forward, Mr. Naledi becomes the minister of the Labor Department. Mr. Naledi is like, hey, but what's going on here? Why is there so many people who have permits to work as teachers in the country when a lot of the youth that's educated, that has B.Ed qualifications, that has these STEM-like qualifications to be able to teach in the country, and they're all sitting at home while we have foreigners working in the country? That's a problem. So he started doing his job and cleaning up all the mess and corruption that was going on there. This is a Ghana man telling us as South Africans what happened, and I believe him. Listen, he goes on to say that this man refused to renew these work permits that were dished out illegally or through corrupt systems that were implemented by the then Labor Department. So he says that he starts exposing the South African Home Affairs. He says that the South African Home Affairs then took it upon themselves to start dishing out these work permits. Why is the Home Affairs Department doing the job of the Labor Department? Overthrowing and overriding the work that's already being done by Mr. Naledi. So he's by admission admitting that they had to find creative ways to get permits or work permits to stay in the country of South Africa through Home Affairs. So was he implying that allegedly they paid Home Affairs to get work permits? I don't know. And he says that some of these foreigners who are now illegal in South Africa didn't come in illegally, but they just stayed in South Africa simply because they could not get their permits renewed. So they decided to stay in South Africa and enter other job positions or spaces where they were welcomed. You might be asking which these might be. Factory workers, because the Chinese love cheap labor. Every Sunday here in South Africa, I know there's Africans here in the live stream who don't know what Moja Love might be, but there's a Moja Love TV station here in South Africa on our DSTV channels that exposes on a weekly basis the criminal companies that are hiring foreigners and using them as cheap labor. Every single Sunday. And Naledi wants to claim that there's no immigration crisis that's taking South Africans' jobs in the country, when every Sunday it shows us that we have issues with unemployed South Africans that are sitting at home while foreigners are getting employed by the Chinese, by the white man, exploiting them of their rights to earn a minimum wage in South Africa. So that's just one example. I could go the whole day as far as multiple examples as to why immigration is a problem to South Africa's sovereignty and creating and contributing to the poverty that's faced in the country right now. Another example could be the tuck shop or spaza shop mafias. The Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Somali, Ethiopian spaza shop mafia that have infiltrated the township of South Africa to literally take a total of an estimated amount of 200 billion rands annually away from black South Africans. This is money that black South Africans was making before the spaza shop mafia came into the country and started shutting down the spaza shops in South Africa that were black owned or that were owned by South Africans. You guys have seen those videos where intimidation has been shown on social media coming from this Spaza Shop Mafia literally pressing South African owned businesses to close shop, or dictating and telling them which products or items to sell. There's countless videos of that being shown. That's an estimated amount of 200 billion rands that literally got taken away from black South Africans, just like that. Yet we have an irresponsible political party like the EFF telling migrants from other countries to find creative ways to enter the country. And she claims that she has never, ever stood up for or defended illegal immigrants. You accuse me of defending foreigners. I defend human beings. I defended the truth, and the truth is that migration did not create South Africa's poverty. Crazy. My goodness, bro. I could go the whole day with countless examples. She goes on to say that, remember now, she's responding to Jacinta. She goes on to say that migration did not create unemployment. I just spoke about it now as how migration has created unemployment for South Africans. Migration, or migrants rather, are cheap labor, because when they flip the rand to their currency in their countries, it's a lot of money for them. So they are more appealing to an employer because employers want to save money. They want to cut down costs. And their biggest cost of business is the employees. So if they can cheat those employees and pay them less money, that's a lot of money that the company is saving. So yes, ma'am, migration did create unemployment in South Africa, as far as the South African national being overthrown or overridden. Is that a word? Overridden. Overrode by the more attractive employee, which is the immigrant. Migration did not create inequality. Migration did not create collapsing municipalities, failing schools, load shedding, corruption, landlessness, or the concentration of wealth in the hands of a tiny elite. Guys, you see now this sentence right here, I could debunk it for you. It will have to be dedicated for its own stream. But because I love you guys and I have a lot of time in my hands right now, because I have nothing else to do, sit back, pop your popcorn, open your cool drink, relax and listen to me decipher exactly how everything that she says here is a lie. She starts by saying that migration did not create inequality in South Africa. Well, let me just think about that for a sec. Did migration create inequality in South Africa? To some degree, I might have to agree with her, but if I look on the other side, there's a lot of inequality that's going on at Small Street. If you don't know what Small Street is a mall there in Johannesburg. And basically, what you have there is shops that are owned by foreign nationals. And the people who are prioritized as far as who gets to work in Small Street, it's the foreigners. I've never been into a Small Street shop and I found a South African working in a Small Street shop. Facts! I'm telling you it's true. Why would I lie? Migration definitely created inequality in South Africa because the foreigner was now seemingly more attractive than the indigenous people of South Africa. They gained priority as far as job placement is concerned. One example, a gigantic mall in Johannesburg. The whole street in that mall is shops that are run by Ethiopians, Somalians, Nigerians, Bangladeshi, Pakistan, and all of those shops, the employees in all of those shops happen to be foreigners. How is that equality? So yes, Miss Naledi, migration definitely created inequality in the workspace. I could go the whole day, but that's one example I can think of right now. As we continue, migration, she says that migration did, hold on. Yeah, migration did municipalities. I can show you a video of Vusi Temekwayo talking about this. Give me a sec. How much time do you have? I said sit down, pop your popcorn, click the like button, open some soda, and relax. This is going to be a long stream. I'm educating you guys. Showing a video of Vusi Temekwayo talking about this mess. YouTube is bugging. Why is YouTube not showing me what I want to see? I don't want to go on TikTok. Ish. Appreciate you guys for your patience. Click the like button while you wait. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd really appreciate it. There we have it, folks. Think I found it.
South Africans are not xenophobic. I want to be clear on this. South Africans are not xenophobic. We live in a diverse country that, as I'm speaking to you right now, has over 100 different nationalities that I'm almost sure, just within the province of Gauteng where I am, there are probably over 100 different nationalities with whom I share my country, my province, my home. So South Africans are not xenophobic. And I want that to be understood, because I think making that statement outright sets the tone for some of the things that I'm going to be saying next. So the second thing I want to say is that this is clearly about a contestation for economic resources. That's not a uniquely South African thing. I travel the world, as many of you know. I'm a global citizen. By God's grace, I spend more time outside of my own country than I do in it. I do more business outside of my own country than I do in it. And that's just been the grace that God has given me. But everywhere in the world I go, I know that migration is an issue. Migration has been an issue for years in South Africa. Issues don't metastasize at the level of policy or government or even the level of the wealthy. These issues make themselves material.
Sorry, chat. It's not the video that I'm looking for. Give me a sec again. One last time. Vusi Temekwayo. Let me search for it on TikTok, because I saw it on TikTok. I'm going to find it just now. Give me a sec. I think I saved it. Let me go my saved. I can't use TikTok, so be patient with me for a sec. Let me find my saved. Where's my saved videos? Are you kidding me? All right, let me check on my phone. Give me a sec, chat. When you save your videos on TikTok, where do they go? Wow, I can't use TikTok to save my life, bruh. Yo. Alright, let's try to find it on Facebook. I'm not gonna stop. Knowing me, I'm not gonna stop until I find the damn video. So you guys are gonna have to be patient. It's gonna be a long stream. Sorry guys. Let's check here on Facebook. Wow. So the video I'm looking for is this video where Vusi is talking. I don't want to hear, I don't want to listen to this EFF blue talk. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I was looking for this video, this one down here by Vusi Tembekwa, but I can't seem to find it. So you're going to have to listen to this one instead. This is the one I'm looking for, this exact one, but it's fine.
Where one group of people asserts itself on other groups of people, disregards their cultures, customs, and ways of life, attempts to destroy their contemporary spaces and their communities, corrupts and pollutes the environments they live in, and then says, now that we've done it, because I look like you, you must accept it. City centers have been destroyed. It looks terrible. From 100% probability, I am willing to say that if I went into any of those communities and looked at the nationalities from which they come, I would find a particular population group and a particular nationality.
This is how xenophobes try to convince you that they're...
Right? So Vusi Tembekwa spoke about it, and somebody in the chat suggested that I must look at my favorites tab. Let me look at my favorite. If I can use TikTok, like I'm struggling here. My goodness, dude. Yeah, I can't use TikTok, so it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, that's the video I wanted to show you guys in response to what Miss Naledi is saying here, that migration did not create collapsing municipalities. Miss Ma'am, it's very unfortunate that you're saying that, because we know for a fact that if you look at the places where migrants live, and unfortunately if you compare those places with how they used to look before migrants moved into those streets, the conditions are completely different. Look at Johannesburg CBD, man. Look at Johannesburg CBD. Right now, I saw a video that Josie is actually quite clean right now. But before the protests were going on, going to Johannesburg was stressful. Every single corner, there's a brew pushing a cart full of fruits. Every single corner, under every single traffic light, there's blood-clot garbage all over the place. Have you seen how it looks now since there's been protests? It's a whole lot cleaner, man. Look at it this way. Chat, I'm about to cook. Hand me some Norox. Hand me some chakalaka day. You got spices? Give me a bowl of spices. I'm about to cook right now. Listen closely. Here's the reason why I feel like municipalities started collapsing. Obviously, we are going to start with facts. For people, we have migrants who've been proven countless times to be in the same house or the same room, overcrowding their house in quantities of maybe 8, 11 people in one room in one house. I'm sorry, but it's fact. Now, this is the same reason why DJ Waras was so busy trying to get rid of all the illegal you can record, it's fine. All the illegal, listen here, listen closely. I get distracted from the chat, my bad. DJ Waras was telling us that, say, guys, we have a crisis in the country where a lot of buildings have been hijacked, and in these buildings, the occupants in these buildings just so happens to be people who are paying rent to people who are not the owners of this property. So the property laws always get broken in these types of buildings. You have a sewage system that's meant to serve a certain number of people, a certain number of toilets, a certain number of, poo that's being pushed in these waste systems that's been built for specifically this building over here. This building is meant to occupy 500 people. But because foreign nationals do not mind breaking the laws of this country, they'll be okay with being in that apartment and just literally just inviting everybody from their country to share these apartments with them. So an apartment that's meant to be occupied by 6 people, now it gets occupied by 11 people, double the number. So that's twice the number of toilet of shit that's been flushed down the toilet. So this strains the waste system that was meant to serve 500 people. Now it's serving 1.5 100 people, 1,500 people. Do you see how the system gets strained, and everything just starts collapsing? She also goes on to talk about the failing schools, that it's not migrant fault, the migrants' fault. Obviously, we can attribute that to being the fault of the ANC government. And since EFF is in parliament as well, we'll blame them too for this issue. Load shedding. The system, the grid, the ESCOM grid is meant to serve X number of households. But what happens when there's an influx of immigrants who's showing up in the country, who start erecting, what's this? So want electricity. What's going to happen to the grid? Because there was no money allocated or budgeted for the grid to be expanded so that these people can also get a share of the electricity. They were never planned for to begin with. So yes, EFF is also responsible for the problems that we're facing under ESCOM, corrupt ANC ran ESCOM, which leads to load shedding in the country. The grid is not able to serve everybody with electricity because there's a lot of people in the country who are not accounted for. What else did she say? She's talking about corruption. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you telling me that the EFF is not corrupt? Just because it hasn't been proven guilty doesn't mean it's not corrupt. I don't know why I'm not prepared for this stream. I was supposed to be prepared so I can show you guys everything that I'm talking about. Allegedly, the EFF also had some scheme that they had going on in the past. And the case is still under wraps. They hushed it. So that because I don't want to get into trouble, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. I hope I find it quick enough. Because I hate the fact that I didn't read this lady's whole reply to Jacinta before I started the stream, because then I'd be able to come with visual evidence of everything that I'm talking about. Now I have to waste time literally searching for these things. Apologies, chat. Apologies, forgive me for that. Click the like button while you wait. Appreciate you. Found it. This might just prove the alleged corruption that's going on in the EFF. What am I doing? Ish. And the fact that my internet is slow is also not helpful. My goodness.
There's no leader of the EFF who have sent the list to anyone. And we are challenging anyone who have evidence of a leader of the EFF who have sent the list to bring it on the table. The guy who was testifying speaks about a municipality called Matthew Posa. He speaks about many issues there that I personally don't agree with. But because it's EFF, you must agree, even there are no facts, there's no evidence. People goes around, actually at some point there were allegations in the procurement that people will go around and say, give me this tender, we are representing the ANC, we are representing the EFF, we are representing Action SA. Action SA is mentioned there, and I'm glad that I saw they've written a letter to Madlanga to ask the CFO who gave you the list. We are also challenging the CFO, which leaders of the EFF are sitting here, our souls are clear. We don't know anything.
I mean, there's another video I was going to show you guys where, excuse me. There's another video I'd love to show you guys, but just to save time, I'd rather not, because it's going to take me a while to find the damn video. But when you start seeing politicians driving very nice cars and living lavish lifestyles, traveling the whole entire world, you need to start asking questions. That's when you need to start being worried, because where do they get the money to spend such posh lives, like to live such posh lives? Where do they get money from? Allegedly, it could be corruption. I don't know. You tell me. Landlessness. Well, obviously, we can't blame migration for that, right? Or the concentration of wealth in the hands of a tiny elite or minority. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. We can't blame EFF for that, or migration for that as well, because the wealth is still in the hands of the tiny elite and minority, whatever. Okay. Capitalism did. Facts. Imperialism did. I agree with her at 100%. She goes on to respond to Jacinta by saying that for centuries, colonialism and apartheid built an economy that depended on the movement of black labor across artificial borders. For centuries, that's facts. Colonialism and apartheid built an economy that depended on the movement of black labor across artificial borders. Even during apartheid, we still had migrants coming into the country. However, yesterday I was watching a podcast, and this podcast is a Nigerian podcast, and this podcaster has been in South Africa since 1997. And he's saying that back in the 90s, when he was new into South Africa, everybody was checked as far as documentation was concerned. So as a foreigner, legally, you are obliged to have your documents with you at all times, according to the South African law. You have to have documentation with you at all times, and you have to have identification with you at all times as a foreigner. This was the case then, it's still the case now, but not for South Africans. South African citizens are not obliged to have their documents with them at all times. So he was talking about back in the past, when he got here in 1997, it was hard for illegal immigrants to enter the country because the system was still very, very strict, and maybe not strict, but the system was working at the time. Because these laws that we are practicing today, or that we are trying to get our government to enforce today, are laws that were tabled back in the past. These are not new things. These are just things that the ANC government decided to overlook. And he says that they started overlooking that rule or law of checking or maybe having documentation as a foreigner at you at all times when you're in the South African streets. He says that in the early 2000s, that's when the ANC started neglecting that responsibility or that law or that rule or whatever. And that's when foreigners themselves started being, relaxed, and the opening of the borders started being a thing, and the ANC opened up the borders. She also goes on to respond to Jacinta by saying that the mines of Johannesburg were built with workers from Mozambique, where your name is common, by the way. The mines of Johannesburg were built with workers from Mozambique, where the name Jacinta is most common, by the way. That's hilarious, dog. The fact that she's insinuating that Jacinta is Mozambican is hilarious. I'm so sorry you guys can't see my screen. My bad. Ish. You guys didn't even tell me that you can't see my screen. Luna, guys. La paz. She says that the mines of Johannesburg were built with workers from Mozambique, Lesotho, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and across Southern Africa. I just like how she's going to mention every other Southern African country and not mention South Africans, as if South Africans were a minority in this country when these mines were being built. Or if South Africans, what were South Africans doing when all of these people that she's mentioning were in the country building the mines here? What were we doing? Just chilling? Because according to the EFF, South Africans are lazy, I guess. I guess we were just chilling when everybody was doing all the work here, right? I don't know. Migrant labor is not an accident. It is a feature of the capitalist system that enriches mine owners, corporations, and multinational capital while keeping African workers divided and competing for survival. She's spitting facts. I agree with her there. Today, when a Zimbabwean, Malawian, Congolese, Ethiopian comes to South Africa seeking work, they are not the architects of our suffering. They are often victims of the very same economic forces that affect South Africans. Facts. She's spitting truth. All she's saying is that it's a system that's a problem. The system is the problem. The laws not being enforced is the problem. And I agree with her. She's cooking. She goes on to respond to Jacinta by saying, the same corporations that suppress wages and exploit South African workers exploit migrant workers too. Factual. However, the problem is that they're exploiting migrant workers at the expense of South African labor laws or the Employee Act. They are not allowed to accept, the employers are not allowed to exploit anybody because there is a minimum wage in this country that they have to abide by. But no, they're not paying that minimum wage. And the system, the law, ANC government is not pressing these employers to say why you have so many foreigners employed. Fault that ANC is not pushing what they need to be pushing. But it's very, I don't know how to feel about it because it's coming from a political party that's also a part of the ANC. I mean, EFF is the ANC. MK Party is the ANC. Aibu Africa movement is the ANC. So I don't know, man. All of these parties come from the same parent. The same neoliberal policies that leave our youth unemployed have impoverished millions across the continent. She goes on to say that history teaches us that Afrophobia has never solved a single socio-economic problem. In May of 2008, now she's going to give us history lessons, no problem. In May of 2008, South Africa witnessed one of the worst outbreaks of xenophobia violence in democratic history. My goodness, tongue twister. More than 60 people were deleted and tens of thousands were displaced. Foreign-owned homes and businesses were looted and burnt. Yet unemployment remained in the country. Poverty remained in the country. Inequality remained as well. And might I add, the conditions have worsened over the years, despite the killings of the fellow African man. She's spitting facts. Things are still the same, even after the unrest that we witnessed in May of 2008. You know what I'm saying? Where 60 people were deleted and tens of thousands were displaced. History is repeating itself, literally. But the only difference is that you, EFF, were still part of the same. When was EFF established? (2013). I'm gonna still remain with the fact that the EFF was still a part of parliament back in 2008. because Julius Malema was part of the youth league back then under the ANC, in the ANC. Let me just fact check that. Allegedly. It reads here that yes, Julius Malema was not only a part of the ANC Youth League in 2008, but he was also served as its president. So Julius Malema was in parliament back in 2008 when the unrest occurred. And then a couple of years later, 5 years later, he decided to start his own political party in 2013. And the EFF got votes and support, and it was part of parliament. So everything that happened under the nose of the EFF. Literally. What else? I feel like I'm blaming everything on the EFF at this point, but I hate the fact that she's trying to exempt the EFF off of everything that's been going on in the country, as if the EFF didn't contribute to the downfall of this country. Let's not do that, guys. Let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? What else did she say? She also gives us some history lessons and continues to literally lecture Jacinta by saying, in 2015, violence erupted again in Durban and later spread to Johannesburg. Several people lost their lives and thousands were displaced. South Africans were no richer afterwards. That's facts. In 2019, attacks against African migrants broke out in Gauteng and other provinces. Businesses were destroyed, people were assaulted, and communities were traumatized. Yet the structural problems facing South Africans remained exactly where they were. She goes on to lecture Jacinta by saying that long before these major outbreaks, migrants and refugees had faced repeated attacks in townships and informal settlements throughout the early 2000s. The targets changed. The suffering remained. The outcomes never did. What these episodes did achieve was the death of black Africans at the hands of other black Africans. That's very unfortunate. So when you say every crime committed by a foreigner should be blamed on me, her being Naledi, Chirwa, I reject that logic entirely. Criminal responsibility belongs to criminals. True story. So I don't understand how she's failing now to hold the young man accountable for placing himself in a situation where he was found dead after being murdered by allegedly a person who found him trying to steal from him in a shack there in the Western Cape. How is she failing to hold the criminal, alleged criminal, which is the 19-year-old, responsible for placing himself in somebody else's property and trying to steal it, if everything that the police are saying is true? Because it's still under investigation, so I wanna be careful as to what I say in this regard, especially with the sensitive topic around somebody else's murder, a very young man's murder. RIP to the young man, condolences to the family, but I hate the fact that mommy is trying to frame this as something that it's not. The mom, that is. She goes on to say that this we have consistently maintained even when it comes to foreigners who commit crimes. We do not blame all South Africans for the crimes committed by South Africans. We do not blame all Zulus for crimes committed by Zulus, all Xhosas for crimes committed by Xhosas, or all women for crimes committed by women. Collective guilt is the language of prejudice, not justice. However, we are having this conversation because you have chosen to lead a movement that is premised on Afrophobia and tribalism. She accuses March and March of a movement that has its roots as Afrophobic and tribalistic. But that is not the case. That is not what March and March is. The EFF tried their best to frame South Africans as xenophobic. And then when the whole world started talking about the immigration issues that they're facing in their country, it stopped becoming popular to call South Africa xenophobic, because now they were failing to call the rest of the world xenophobic. I'm talking about you, Europe. I'm talking about those European countries that are currently now faced with an immigration crisis, just like South Africa. Nobody's calling them countries xenophobic, but they're calling South Africans xenophobic. So it stopped becoming popular to call South Africa xenophobic. So the AFF decided to find more creative ways to condemn the protests that are going on in South Africa. So they decided to start calling it tribalistic, if that's even a word. She goes on to say that this is why I have called on you for this moment. The tragic death of any child should unite us in demanding accountability from law enforcement, regulators, government departments, and those directly responsible. It should never become a tool for collective punishment against millions of people based solely on nationality. How ironic that she said that. The same person who's trying to accuse a whole movement that is supported by millions of South Africans, trying to collectively punish all those millions of South Africans for a death that March and March has nothing to do with. How ironic, and how, I don't know, man. I don't know how these people think, but it's fine. Let's keep going. I just lost it. Okay, here it is. The greatest deception sold to poor people is that another poor person is their enemy. The unemployed South African is not the enemy of the unemployed Zimbabwean. Now, I want to talk about this part over here. The great deception sold to poor people is that another poor person is their enemy. It's obviously, she's obviously right. You know what I'm saying? But now it's kind of hard for poor people to literally go every single day out their way to try to get employed, only for them to be rejected, and witnessing Zimbabweans literally working in restaurants that they are applying at, and them getting denied over a Zimbabwean. Look at the restaurant sector. The waiters and waitresses there, a majority of them are Zimbabweans. I'm sorry, it's factual. They're foreigners. Let's keep it a stack. Y'all remember that trending video of the Zimbabwean manager who was running steers? A Zimbabwean manager running steers, as if there's not enough South Africans who can fulfill that job. It's crazy. And he was forcing the employees there at steers to do the garden. I have a starter, sorry guys. He was forcing them to do the gardening. So a man approached these gentlemen who was busy with the gardening there to ask them, yo guys, what are you guys doing? Shouldn't you guys be cooking in the kitchen? Because they had steers attire on. That's how you could tell that they were steers employees. They were like, our manager said we must do this. He's like, no, you guys need to stop this. He starts taking the shovels and the spades and he just throws them in the road. And the manager comes through to approach him and ask him, sir, what are you doing, sir? He tells them, why do you have people doing the gardening work here? What's going on? He explains to them that, I'm the boss here, so I'm going to tell them what to do. They start having a back and forth. It was trending on TikTok last year. They have this back and forth, and then there's a point where the Zimbabwean manager actually says that, by the way, I'm Zimbabwean and there's nothing you can do to me. The internet went crazy. So there is inequality in that sense that South Africans are not getting prioritized with jobs that are rightfully theirs in their own country. But it is what it is. I guess our government sees nothing wrong with that. I guess the EFF sees nothing wrong with that. The unemployed South African is not the enemy of the employed Zimbabwean. The informal trader is not the enemy of the street vendor from Malawi. She goes on and on and on and on. Okay, we get it, man. Jesus Christ. Pan-Africanism taught us that Africa's liberation is interconnected. Men and women from across the continent sheltered, trained, funded, and supported South Africans during apartheid. This has to stop. I'm sorry, Africans. I love you guys. You guys are my guys. but holding South Africans ransom, literally holding this whole apartheid thing onto our faces. Like when is the debt gonna be paid? You guys have been pressing us about this. When will you guys finally say, okay, you know what, South Africa has actually, you know, helped the rest of the continent. Enough is enough. We can now stop holding them accountable or holding them ransom for literally helping Nelson Mandela back in the 90s or whatever. As if it was the whole country that fled the country to seek assistance from neighboring countries in the African continent. It was a select few politicians who left the country. The rest of our ancestors, the rest of our grannies, granddads, you know, our mothers, they stayed in the country and fought the apartheid government. They didn't leave. It's a select few that actually left to go to Europe. Because to be fair, how many South Africans can Europe actually absorb during the unrest? To be fair, how many South Africans can Nigeria absorb during the unrest? And who are we going to prioritize out of the millions of South Africans? Who are we going to prioritize and say, you can come, but you can stay? Nelson Mandela and your friends, you guys can come, but the rest of the guys can stay. Like, let's keep it a stack. It's only a select few that actually got help from Nigeria in him. Not every single human being in South Africa got help. But of course, those acts did help into fighting the cause. Fantastic. We appreciate you guys. But stop using that against us, dog. Because right now we are faced with a crisis. We're faced with, poverty issues in the country. You know what I'm saying? Our kids are unemployed, like for crying out loud. You feel me? Our kids are not even going to school because some of them couldn't find placements in January because of the Bella Bill or the Bella Act. Stop playing with us. I could go on and on and on. South Africans are unemployed because these factories are getting exposed every single Sunday on national television on Moja Love. That they've been hiring foreigners over South Africans. How many programs do you want the TV show to air out for you guys to see that we have an immigration crisis in the country? Sizokuthola with Kolani in them. He's always literally showing us criminals selling drugs to our kids every single Sunday. But apparently we don't have a criminal and foreigner relation in the country. Obviously there's South Africans who commit crime, but say we do have a foreigner and crime relation in the country. It's not a coincidence that every single episode these Nigerians being exposed of selling drugs. It's not a coincidence that all over the globe they're being exposed of selling drugs. All in Thailand, all over the globe. In Europe, Thailand, drug smugglers. These are not coincidences. Like, stereotypes are not by accident. They earned. I'm sorry. What else? Sorry. You did feel what I'm saying. She goes on to say that they were welcomed as brothers and sisters, not treated as enemies. I will never apologize for standing against Afrophobia. I will never accept the answer to South Africa's problems is violence against foreigners. And I will never stop fighting for a South Africa where justice is based on facts, accountability, and human dignity. Funny enough, you didn't care about facts when it comes to this 19-year-old's death. You didn't care about facts, man. But you're claiming that I will never stop fighting for a South Africa where justice is based on facts. What do you mean by that? You don't care about facts. You don't care about facts. You just literally pushed like Jacinta into the crime scene. You were like, Jacinta, you are there, you are the one who did this. That's what you did, pretty much. That's pretty much what you did. You didn't even wait for the police to investigate. You just went out the gate and started throwing this on Jacinta's hands. She says that because history has shown repeatedly that when the poor are divided, the powerful win. A child died. An innocent child was purged due to the fire you caused. Oh my goodness, bruh. Jacinta, you need to sue this lady. Jacinta, you need to sue this lady, bruh. Jacinta, you need to sue this lady, bruh. She said an innocent child was purged due to the fire that Jacinta caused, dog. Mind you, the child was literally doing his own thing there. When people were sleeping at 3 a.m, the child was there doing his own thing. She goes on to say that a child died. It's only a child of this soil, lost his life because you so solely believed that ukufusecha kwa Shangani will come with economic freedom. Myopic, embarrassing, and heartless. My goodness. This back and forth between Jacinta and Naledi is crazy. She did not stop, chat. Now South Africans are asking her to apologize to Jacinta, and she refuses to apologize. I mean, just look at this. 28 minutes ago, she's still pushing this propaganda, saying that, don't be silenced, mama. Speak. Fight for your son. Justice will be served. We remember what the police did to Chirwa. Do not back down until the truth is established. So she relates what happened to this young man with what happened to Chirwa, with justice not being served because of the police not doing their job adequately enough according to her and her standards. Truth is, with the Chirwa case, it's completely different from what's being discussed right now. Completely different. And this was 28 minutes ago, so she does know that the police actually said that we did an investigation and the one suspect that murdered your son in these conditions of a crime being performed, alleged crime being performed by your son and his friend. His friend told you and told us as the police that they were there to steal. How do we relate that to Chirwa's situation? Because even in the Chirwa situation, the EFF was claiming that Chirwa didn't get justice because the person that was being protected was a white man or a white principal, because he was getting accused of masking or hiding a rape that happened to this young small little baby. So the EFF started using that as a racist agenda or a racism type case to say that, why are you protecting the white man against a criminal act that was done onto a small little black child? They started attributing that to say that, yeah, this is white supremacy in its best form. But in this case, it's different. They can't use the white people as a scapegoat as to why justice is not being served according to them. Because no white person is involved in this case. She says, do not back down until the truth is established. Unfortunately, ma'am, the truth is being established, and as it's being reported, the truth as far as the police have reported, allegedly, the child who passed on, the 19-year-old child who passed on, was a criminal doing criminal activity and got caught in the act, allegedly got murdered because of said act. What else did Jacinta say? Before I close off this stream, well, I won't close off the stream, I won't lie. I'm having a lot of fun, even though I'm super hungry and tired. I'm still going to continue regardless. It's 2 p.m. I can't believe it. I've been here for way too long. We read that response from Jacinta already. If you haven't seen that yet, go back in the video and you'll see it. Let's read this post right here from Jacinta. It says that, what can I tell you guys? Excuse me. What I can tell you guys is that illegal immigrants can and will leave, but the ones that are preparing to fight and start violence and kill for this country and are the most dangerous ones, it's the Somalis, Ethiopians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and Nigerians, allegedly. They have invested too much money in their crime and illicit businesses to just leave. I agree with her. Nobody would just leave that. They are preparing to fight, and even the government, if they make them leave. Well, there you have it, folks. I guess the fight continues. What I am interested in doing, however, is reading the comment section underneath this post over here. Let's give it a sec to load. Somebody said that I actually care more about what Naledi said when she was responding to Jacinta, or rather what people were saying. Oh, she switched off the comment section. Is it because she's getting roasted? Kamo is saying there is no way where Jacinta said people must be deleted. Criminals are criminals, not what March and March is about. Hiban, they are all happy in March and March. My goodness, so people actually believe the story. You see now, that's the danger of pushing a narrative of propaganda when things are not even factual yet. When the authorities haven't even, done the investigations thoroughly. March and March is going to sue this lady. I'm sorry. Somebody's laughing, talking about why was he hiding behind the door? The internet is insensitive. The internet is not a real place. People are so insensitive. And this lady, this Cindy lady, I'm sure she's a sweetheart in real life. But what she types on social media, if her parents find out, they'd be so mad. I don't even know where do you enter South Africans' news as you create violence between us. She is creating violence between South Africans, literally. That's what Naledi is doing. I'm sorry. I don't think they are still saying auntie here to you. No, you have opened the comments. Oh, now you have opened the comments because she had them switched off. I believe the mother, not the police. Interesting. I don't have a symbol in English, but once you said I heard, it's hearsay, not statement based on facts. Mommy said I heard this and that happened to my child. That's hearsay. That's facts. I always thought Tsonga people were smart, but this issue made me think otherwise. My goodness, bro. Because I said something similar. Obviously, I wasn't that disrespectful, but I said something similar that they proving the Nigerians right. When Nigerians were calling South Africans dumb and uneducated. I mean, if this happened, I'm Sotho, so if this happened to a Sotho folk, then I was going to look at it and be like, hold on. What really happened? I wouldn't just jump out the gate and say, yeah, no, they targeted Sotho people. No, of course not. I'm going to wait, pause, relax, absorb the information as it comes out, and make a concise, educated assessment. Not what the Tsonga people did. I'm sorry, the Tsonga folk. If you like me, if you fuck with me heavy, I'm sorry. You guys need to call out your people for jumping out the gate and not doing due diligence to check if whatever is being presented is factual or not. You guys didn't do that. You guys listened to Naledi. You guys listened to King Zyle without even looking at the facts first. You know what I'm saying? I know that there's people in here who have been in here in every single stream consistently. I appreciate you. World Watch by David. I appreciate you, sir. I always see you in these live streams. Where's my boy? Cedric. Cedric wasn't in this live stream. Cedric, my boy. You don't love me no more, boy. You don't love me no more. Where's my guy? He's another brew that's always in these live streams. So yeah, join the family. Click the like button. Sub up. Make sure you ring the notification bell so that when I go live again, I live stream strictly religiously. So when I go live again, I need you guys to watch me talk about these issues live, not pre-recorded, live, as I do so well. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Savannah. This is Brian Savannah TV. Catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate you guys. Should Jacinta sue? Comment down below. Should Jacinta sue EFF and Naledi for pushing this propaganda narrative onto March and March? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think of this whole situation. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? Tell me how you guys feel. Appreciate you guys. Deuces. Yay! Told you that I'm leaving. Deuces. Whoa, whoa. I know you mad, what's the worst? I wish you best of luck. Now I'm finna throw the deuces out.